Whenever we begin to pursue something, whether it is professionally, as a craft, a hobby, or just because we're interested to see where it goes, we have to start somewhere, and usually that's square one. When I first started in photography, I knew very little and I made so many mistakes. So today I'm going to cover 5 mistakes that I made as a beginner so that hopefully you can avoid them. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I was a beginner was thinking that every shot had to be perfect or had to be iconic. And the reality is that most of the shots you're going to get are not going to be that great. You're going to have one in every 20, or depending on how many photos you're taking, one for every 100 you take that actually come out good and are worth using. I feel like this is information that is almost safeguarded a little bit because I remember talking to one of my photography friends about this at the beginning, and she told me that she also doesn't get great shots every time she takes a photo. And I was blown away by this because I couldn't believe that all of her shots were not perfect based on what I was seeing. And that's the problem. You don't see the shots that are not posted. You don't see the shots that are out of focus. The subject is out of frame, or you just didn't nail the composition. Those photos are not the ones that people share. You see the photos that they think are good enough for you to see, and sometimes it's good to take a step back and remember that they're doing the same thing you're doing. They're taking hundreds of photos, going through those photos and picking one that is decent or one that is killer, and that's what you're seeing. Try to remember that when you're taking photos. Every photographer goes through this. They will take hundreds of photos, or they'll blow through rolls of film and they'll get a few photos that they really love. That's normal. It's normal for every shot not to be a banger, and it's okay. The second mistake I made as a beginner was keeping my lens cap on. This was something that I did because I wanted to protect my lens and I wanted to make sure that nothing happened to this expensive camera that I had just gotten. So I was trying to keep it safe by keeping the lens cap on. And the problem with that is when you are ready to take a photo and you have your lens cap on, sometimes you forget that you have your lens cap on and you miss the shot because you're fumbling trying to take it off, and the moment is gone by the time you get the lens cap off. I have missed shots with my Leica because I left the lens cap on, trying to preserve the battery. So my advice is just leave the lens cap off while you're shooting. And if you're like me and you're worried about making sure that the camera lens stays protected, get a filter that screws on the front, and you don't have to worry about it because the glass is going to be protected and you don't have to miss your shot trying to protect the glass and all of that. Just get a filter that screws on the front so that you don't miss your shots. The next mistake I made was trying to be like someone else, trying to be like another photographer. For me, that person is my good friend, Mary Caroline. She is a phenomenal photographer, and she is someone that I set my standard to for what I think good work should look like. If I am shooting with the intentionality of things coming out, telling a story the way I feel when I see her work, I feel like I have done a good job. But when I first started, I would compare myself to other photographers, thinking that if I shot like them, or if I used the same presets, or if I shot the same angles, or if I did things the same way that other photographers I admired were doing, then it would make me somehow better. And the reality is, when you're trying to be like someone else and you're trying to mimic what they do, you're not focused on what you're actually doing. You're not focused on the moment. You're focused on making sure that you're like someone else. The reality is, you can't be that other person, whoever it is. You can't take photos like them because you are not them. Just like they can't take photos like you because they're not you. That's the goal, at least for me, is to have photos that other people see and they immediately know that's a Tilly Scholl shot. That's what you should be striving for, finding your creative style, your artistic style, and the way that you like to shoot things and how it's different from everybody else is going to shine through, and it's gonna show people that it's your work. not someone else's. The next mistake I made is one that I am a little embarrassed to admit, but it is true. Don't set your camera to auto white balance. Find a range of temperatures and know that when you're outside, you like it to be 4,000 Kelvin. When you're inside, you like it to be 3,800, and leave it at that. This is something that I used to do, and I regret it very much. I would end up with photos or video that had a temperature shift that was so aesthetically unpleasing. I came from shooting film, so I didn't have to worry about setting my white balance. My temperature was whatever the film was. It was a problem when I started taking digital photos. Set your white balance. Take 10 pictures. Set the Kelvin. So on your camera, you can go to your white balance and you can do a custom white balance setting. It'll open up the Kelvins and you can set that number to whatever you want. Go outside, take 10 photos, set the white balance Kelvin temperature, there's a K next to the number, set the temperature to 3,000 and take a picture of your subject and make sure it's a stationary thing that's not going to move or change so that you can do this test. Set it to 3,200, 34, 36, 38, or whatever range you want. If you like it to be warmer, set it higher. If you like cooler temperatures, more blues, set it lower. But know what that range is for you, because you're going to have more consistent photos and people are going to recognize whatever you're doing as yours when you have that consistency. Set your white balance. Please, for you, for me, set your white balance. And the last mistake I made, because I came from shooting film first, was shooting differently when I was using a digital camera than I shot when I was using my film camera. I have so much intentionality with every photo that I take with my film camera. I'm thinking about the lighting. I'm checking the frame to see what's in the frame, if there's anything that needs to move, if there's anything that needs to shift or change. I'm making sure that the lighting is right. I'm checking my aperture, shutter speed, pre-focusing. All of these things are happening in a split second when I'm taking a film photo. But I'm very in tune with what is happening when I'm taking that photo, because I know I'm gonna get one shot and that shot might be gone. If I'm taking a picture of someone on a bicycle riding in front of me, I have one chance to get that photo on a film camera and then that chance is gone. So you're doing all of these things, anticipating what it is that you're going to take a picture of. And when I switched to digital, I was just setting it on burst and taking tons of photos and then going through the photos, mindlessly taking pictures. And it was like, you could tell that the pictures I was taking didn't have intention behind them and that I was taking bursts of photos and not really paying attention. I could tell. So if you're coming from film into the digital world, set your camera to only take a single photo at a time, because it's going to push you to focus on the thing that you are trying to take a picture of and pay attention to all of the details instead of just taking hundreds of photos of the same thing and hoping that one of them comes out the way that you want. Nail it the first time so that you don't have to worry about going through 100 photos. And if you've just started in photography and you've only shot on a digital camera, I would highly recommend you purchase a disposable camera from your local film store, B&H, wherever it is, and go out and take pictures with a film camera. And pay attention to the way that you are taking those photos, the way that you're composing the images, and what the light looks like when you take those photos, why you're choosing to take those photos, because you only have a certain number that you get with that camera. It's going to shift the way that you take photos for the better. It's going to give you more intentionality, and hopefully it's going to improve the way that you take digital photos also. Here are some of my favorite photos that I took with my first digital camera. I hope you enjoy them. I do have some original prints that I will be putting on my website for sale. If you are interested in that, you can find my website in the description down below, and you can be expecting that within the first couple weeks of December. That's it for today's video. I hope some of the mistakes I have made help you avoid them in the future. And if you have mistakes of your own that you have learned from and you want to help others learn from, go ahead and leave a comment down below to let us know what that is. Please don't forget to like and subscribe because it does truly help keep me motivated in making these for you. I'm Tilly Scholl. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.